Hey guys, in today's video I'll be doing another tropical update, and once again I will be talking about Hurricane Epsilon, which has been doing some very crazy interesting things over the past day or so. But real quick, I want to direct your eyes back down to the Western Caribbean, where that disturbance the NHC has been monitoring over the past week or so, I believe. They stopped monitoring it for a bit because they didn't really think it would become anything else, but now it's back and now has a 20% chance of formation within the next 5 days, a 0% chance of formation within the next 2 days. Says that a trough of low pressure extending from the southwestern to the northwestern Caribbean Sea is producing a large area of disorganized showers and thunderstorms. Any development of the system is expected to be slow over the next several days as the system passes near western or central Cuba, the Florida Straits, and the Bahamas. Regardless of development, locally heavy rainfall is possible in those areas and South Florida at times through the weekend. So we'll have to monitor this other disturbance maybe a bit more going through the rest of this week into this weekend and see what it does. Because for sure in the Western Caribbean, it definitely has a lot of very warm sea surface temperatures that definitely support tropical development. But the thing is that now the Caribbean has a bunch of wind shear in it, so tropical systems will not be able to really battle that off that well, and won't be able to really develop that much. So really got to wait and see, and wait for the system to really cross Cuba and like enter the subtropics region around the Bahamas and Florida, and see what it does from there, because it seems like more of an area of where it could really develop, a better chance for it to develop at least in that area than where it is right now. Alright, so now let's talk about Hurricane Epsilon. Yes, Epsilon has now become a hurricane. It became a hurricane, when did it become a hurricane? Like, I think late last night, I believe. I don't remember. But now it has the 2 p.m. advisory. It's at 110 miles per hour, so a very strong Category 2 hurricane. It's at right now, just barely off of being a Category 3. And its pressure is now at 959 millibars, and it's moving west-northwest at 9 miles per hour. If at 5 p.m. It becomes a major hurricane, and a lot of the recon aircraft are in Epsilon right now, and they are in fact actually finding some pressure readings and such that do support somewhat that the system is still strengthening and could be strengthening enough to where they'll bump it up to being a major hurricane now, Category 3 at least I think only 115 miles per hour by the 5 o'clock advisory, which is the next full advisory, so we'll get a new cone forecast from that advisory as well. But here's the 11 a.m. cone forecast. You can see the NHC is forecasting Epsilon to remain at hurricane status pretty much through the rest of its life, even after it goes post-tropical. Once it goes into the far North Atlantic, it starts heading towards Iceland and just way up north in those regions. Yeah, this is a very impressive system. You can see that like kind of darker yellow, kind of orange shade there represents where the tropical storm force winds are. So it has a very wide wind field. It's crazy. It's a very interesting system for sure. Here's the tropical storm force wind speed probabilities. Bermuda has about a 30% chance of tropical storm force wind probabilities. I think likely the Bermuda will likely see just more of heading towards was it like Wednesday, going towards Thursday, Friday, more like Friday. It will start to experience more of just a kind of a nuisance rainy day with some windy conditions and then rough surf. But it shouldn't be terrible for you guys there in Bermuda, thankfully, because you guys have already been hit you got hit directly on by Paulette, and Teddy even brought you guys some impacts. So thankfully this system will be more or less just kind of a nuisance for you guys and not too much of a big deal. So that is a very good thing. Arrival time of tropical storm force winds. It shows Bermuda will likely see tropical storm force winds as we head towards very early Wednesday morning, overnight Wednesday into Thursday around like 2 a.m. So overnight Wednesday, that's when conditions will really start to go downhill for you guys in Bermuda. So if you want to, just maybe if you want to, just hunker down and make sure you're prepared to kind of hunker down if you want to by Wednesday night or Wednesday evening right before you go to bed. But I think it shouldn't be terrible for you guys in any case anyway. So it's not too big of a deal, but still take it seriously to a degree. It's still a tropical system that is rapidly intensifying, so certainly something to take note of. All right, so let's go to travel tidbits now, and we're gonna go to aircraft recon, and let's see here. Here is the Air Force mission in Epsilon right now. It's a low-level reconnaissance mission. It's in the storm currently. And it's, let's see, do I need a zoom this in for you guys? All right, so it shows it's found pressure readings of 959, now 956 millibars. And wind speeds they did find wind speeds all the way up to between 96 and 113 miles per hour. So that's quite significant. It's definitely a very, very strong system. It has a very, very well-defined eye as well. It really formed an eye quite quickly, and also a very well-defined eye as well, which is crazy for this kind of system, honestly. So that's pretty cool stuff there. Now let's show you what it looks like on the satellite imagery, and you can see there it is. Beautiful eye, very well-formed eye. It has lots of a decent amount of heavy convection around the eye and around the center. So it's definitely looking like a nice, healthy system. Its outflow is good. It's breathing more or less pretty well. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's able to strengthen just a little bit more before it starts to curve more out towards Bermuda and then out to sea and starts to weaken from there. I think it has maybe at most another day at most, definitely at most another day it has for strengthening, for any kind of strengthening left. It only, I think, has at most a day left to be able to strengthen anymore, because after tomorrow around this time, I think it will really start to weaken and start to be on its dissipating trend. So that is what Epsilon looks on the satellite imagery. Very, very cool there. And here's the model intensity guidance. And this is a 12Z run. The 18Z run hasn't come in yet, but I would assume the 18Z run will be showing it at definitely Category 2 status and showing a good amount of the models entering Category 3 status. I definitely think we'll be in Category 3 status for a bit of time before it starts to weaken and end up on its dissipating trend. So, yeah, Epsilon is definitely doing some things that we didn't really expect it to, especially with how far north it is. So that's pretty interesting. So let's look at the forecast models. First, we're going to look at the GFS model, and let's just look at the North Atlantic. Yeah, just get a very wide view of it. There's the GFS, and there's Epsilon right there, pretty much in the middle of the screen right there. And you bring this forward in time, shows the system kind of strengthening still, and then as it's passing by Bermuda to the east of Bermuda, and then it gets curved out to sea by a very weak front, and then starts to kind of dissipate, gets absorbed into this larger, much stronger low pressure center and system, and yeah, that's very, very interesting there. So that's what the GFS is showing. Pretty intense system, and showing it generally on still a strengthening trend for a bit of time before it starts to get pulled out to sea and weaken and dissipate, go post-tropical. The CMC model, there's Epsilon right there, and let's show you what the CMC model is showing. And CMC model is very weird. It's show the system much weaker, and I don't really know what the CMC model is doing there, but okay. Alright. That's interesting. Actually, you know what? No, I want to go back to, actually, real quick, the GFS model, because I want to see if the GFS model is picking up the second system in the Western Caribbean. See what it shows for that. In this forward in time, so that second system would be kind of going towards the north and east, crossing Cuba and then over towards the Bahamas, and yeah, it doesn't really show much of anything happening with it. Though, if we go back to the CMC model, shows the system crossing Cuba, getting a low pressure center, and there it is, centered right off the east coast of Florida, right over the Bahamas. Has a pretty decent low pressure center, but then gets absorbed and brought out to sea. So very interesting, very interesting. We might really have to watch that second system in the Western Caribbean a little bit more closely than typical. The European model, so there's Epsilon right there with that very tight vorticity you see in the middle of your screen. Shows it moving continuing towards the north and west, passing right by Bermuda to the east, and then getting pulled out to sea and going post-tropical, being rushed out to sea. So that is what the European model is showing for Epsilon. And you know what? In fact, I want to show you guys what the MJO phases are looking like, and how that's looking like. Come on, where's one that works here? 12Z of yesterday. This kind of thing is a bit delayed, but you can see the Atlantic for where Epsilon is and the Western Caribbean system is. It's covered in a rising phase of the MJO, which would be conducive for tropical development. So that's interesting. And then as we move forward in time, getting towards October 27th to November 3rd, you know, it's still the Atlantic will be completely covered generally in a conducive phase of the MJO. So end of October could be still quite active, and getting into November, even a bit of a November. November 3rd through the 10th. You can see the Atlantic is still very much in the conducive phase of the MJO, so we could be seeing some decent tropical development still as we go into November. And then going from November 10th to the 17th, you can see the more of the eastern and central regions of the Atlantic, closer to Africa and the MDR, is in the conducive phase for the MJO for tropical development. But then the Atlantic is starting to go into more of a sinking phase of the MJO. So that's something that's interesting, to say the least. But looks like between now and I'd say about more or less mid-November, mid-month of November, we could be seeing some decent chance of a good amount of tropical activity occurring. So definitely looks like we'll be beating 2005 in terms of total named storms quite soon. And yeah, I think that will tie 2005 getting towards the very end of October, maybe just entering November, I think. But then once we're in November, once we get into the early part of November, getting towards the first week in November, I think at that point we'll really be able we'll be at that point where we'll beat 2005 in terms of total named storms. So that is a quick update on how active the Atlantic could be getting over at least the next few weeks before it really dies off and we get to the very end of hurricane season. And speaking of hurricane season, the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season Wikipedia page, crazy record-breaking, just the second most active Atlantic hurricane season we've seen since 2005. 2005 is still the most active Atlantic hurricane season on record, of course, for a good reason. But 2020's hurricane season in the Atlantic could definitely beat 2005 quite soon. Total of 27 depressions as far this season, 26 total named storms, 10 hurricanes total. Oh wait, sorry, hold on. You guys weren't even able to see that. My bad, sorry. But yeah, we got a total of 27 total depressions, 26 total named storms, 10 hurricanes total so far this season, now that Epsilon has become a hurricane. And I want to remind you guys that in 2017's Atlantic hurricane season, we had at the end of the hurricane season, we ended up having a total of 10 hurricanes. All of those hurricanes in the 2017 Atlantic hurricane season, of course, occurred all in a row consecutively, which ties the record for most tropical systems becoming a hurricane in one season ever. So that's pretty interesting. And of course, we've had a total of 3 major hurricanes. Likely will be 4 major hurricanes pretty soon, because I definitely think Epsilon will at least reach just barely major hurricane status for a bit of time quite soon. So that is very, very interesting there. And in fact, it says it down here. It says Hurricane Epsilon formed in mid-October and is currently threatening Bermuda, making the season the 7th season in the satellite era to have at least 10 hurricanes. The other 6 being 1969, 1995, 2005, 2010, 2012, and 2017. So, yeah, just another glimpse into how active this hurricane season has been, being compared to all these other extremely active hurricane seasons. Of course, especially 2005 and 2017. So, it's a crazy, crazy hurricane season for sure. But yeah, again, we're onto the 5th named storm of the Greek alphabet, Epsilon, and looks like we could see maybe another 4 or 5 more named Greek alphabet storms. Wouldn't surprise me at all if that were to occur. And the total A so far this season is now at 122.29 units. Now that Epsilon has been rapidly intensifying and creating a good bit of ace for itself for the hurricane season, to add to the hurricane season. So, yeah, there's Epsilon. We're on the 5th named Greek alphabet storm. We've gotten into the Greek alphabet, well into the Greek alphabet. This is truly crazy. Second time in Atlantic hurricane season history that we've ever reached the Greek alphabet. That only other season was 2005, of course. And Zeta is the next name on the list, which is the Greek alphabet name that we got to in the end of the 2005 Atlantic hurricane season. So we'll be tying 2005's total named storms quite soon. And then after that point, we'll be breaking that record. And yeah, it's a truly crazy hurricane season. I definitely think we actually could get to iota, so we'd have a total of 9 additional named Greek alphabet tropical systems. So that's very interesting to at the least. But yeah, Epsilon is now a strong category 2 hurricane, just on the verge of officially becoming a major hurricane. It will impact Bermuda heading towards Thursday, Friday, and maybe a bit of Saturday. So people living in Bermuda, just be aware that getting towards the very end of the work week, right before the beginning of the weekend, that time frame won't really be all that pleasant for you guys. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, that's it for today's video, guys. Really hope you enjoyed this update on Hurricane Epsilon. It will be a major hurricane quite soon for sure. And if you really enjoyed this video and you found it enjoyable, informative, please consider liking the video, commenting on the video. If you're a first-time viewer of my channel and you like what you saw in today's video, and you like this kind of content, this kind of tropical content, I've done tons of this content all of hurricane season, covered every single tropical system so far this hurricane season. So yeah, if you like tropical content, I have tons of that on my channel, and I will continue to do more in the future. So please consider subscribing for that reason, or just maybe because you just enjoyed this channel for whatever other reason. But yeah, again, hopefully you guys really enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.